Hello everyone, here's another day in my garden, and these are all my annuals right here, and I'll go over some of them. This is the remaining of, this is a weed. Gotta get this out. Yes, I know it's a flower, but it's a weed. Okay, anyway, my irises are pretty much dead for this season. Well, they're not dead, but the flowers are gone for the season, but they were really cool. I showed you them, I think, 2 days ago. So anyway, over here we have some poppies. And as you can see, some of them are doing amazingly well and going huge, and some of them aren't getting as big, and some of them, and these ones I transplanted and I didn't even think they would live. So basically what I'm going to have is some monster ones in the back, and then some smaller ones in the front, and the whole thing is going to slope downward and look like I have little ones, medium ones, tall ones. So the tall ones will probably get up to here. Oh god, I need to clean that more. But the tall ones will get probably up to here, and the shorter ones will probably get up to here, and it'll be a perfect, just like a perfect audience looking thing where it just goes up in a row. So that turned out really nice. Over here we've got some chocolate mint. This is starting to grow out more, but I can keep working on it, and I'll just take some. Actually going to take a little bit now and see what it's like. I'm just going to take this piece. Hold on, let me take this one back here so it doesn't burn. I got this from my mother-in-law, and she's really good at mint. Oh, this is really good. It does have a slight chocolate taste and smell. It almost smells like a really minty Andes mint or York peppermint patty, but it more has an Andes mint smell to it. Coming over here, these are Cosmos, and these have been growing like nobody's business over the last few years. They're pretty cool to me. They're a beautiful flower, and they're good ground cover. And they flower early and they keep flowering over and over again. So, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I had a little more cover over here to over here, but my mother-in-law wanted to try these out, and I had some extras that I could give her, so I gave her the extras. I mean, this still looks nice. And as you can see, I have other flowers, zinnias, that I'll go over in 2 minutes. And if I would go too much more over and I might have to take this out, the zinnias would all be in the way, and these would be in the way of the zinnias and choking each other out. So I gave some to my mother-in-law, and apparently they're doing well over there. And these are annuals, not perennials, so they do what's called reseeding themselves every year. So they drop seeds to the ground. The seeds get in the ground over the winter and, you know, just make their way in, and then they grow up again the next year. The Cosmos just keep growing and growing and growing. As you can see right here, some flowers that have died off, and what will happen is these will get seeds in them. As you can see what's going on there, the seeds will start growing in them, and because you can't pick them off in time, you're going to just get all of these seeds that just come out, like thousands of seeds will just drop out of here and onto the ground for the next season. And then you get a really good start in like March or April, they'll start growing, and it's pretty cool to have flowers in March and April. I mean, you don't get too many flowers in March and April, and especially ones that keep blooming all year, or at least for the beginning of the summer or spring and the summer. They don't just die. I'm pretty sure they're going to bloom all year. Then coming over here to the other part of my annuals, these are zinnias. These are going to get pretty big, especially the fact that these came up just by themselves without anything else. Maybe they seemed like they got out like a week later than they could have if I would have planted them in the ground. But these, again, seeded themselves. They self-seeded. Again, the same idea as the Cosmos. When the flowers get, pollinated and they die, then what happens is the heads of the plants, like where the, God, I'm going a lot, where the seeds are, the seeds will start dropping out. And so what I also do is I take these seeds here and I actually just rip off the head of the flower once it's dry and just go like this with about 5 or 6 of the zinnia flower heads for the next year. I keep them and dry them out, and the ones that are left over at the end of the year that I didn't pull out yet, I'll do that. I'll pull them out about October, and they'll be just pretty much dead and dried. So I'll rip it out, I'll rip out the plant, and then I'll just reseed it with this next year, probably with a bunch of those, and get a bunch of seeds. As you can see, some of them are up there. Most of them are over here. Again, self-seeding does its own thing. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a problem with almost a water trench, because this is right where the roof is up there, and it comes right down here. It still drips down, even though we have gutters that go way out there, and they're amazing gutters. You still get dripping. Most of it comes from this part down, or from right about here where that goes down. So as you can see, that's still a little bit of a problem. Oh, there's my wife's gnome for you in her balloon flowers. They haven't flowered yet, but when they do, it'll be pretty cool. So anyway, thanks for looking at my part of the garden. My wife has more. My wife's balloon flowers, actually. So you'll start seeing more, and you'll see them starting to get bigger. This one here and this one here, especially this one, are the best looking. That one I didn't transplant, that one I didn't transplant, those two I didn't transplant, that one I transplanted, that one I transplanted, that one I transplanted. As I said, I'm going over all this again. But it's pretty cool. I'm excited to see some poppies this year. I've only ever done that once before, and I think it'd be cool to have another time around with them and do this every few years. What my hope is that they'll actually self-seed. So a couple of them, not many, but like 2 or 3 of them, I'm gonna let them go to seed, 2 or 3 heads, not 2 or 3 whole plants, 2 or 3 heads. I'm gonna let them go to seed, and then I'm gonna just let them just dump out the seeds on half of them into the ground just as is, and just pat them down like you're supposed to. And the other half, I'm gonna do what's called cold stratification, where I'm gonna put them in the fridge for about 6 months until it's the beginning of the next year, and I'm gonna take them out and put them in, because poppies need to have something called a cold period and cold stratification, where what happens is seeds get cold. These ones are good in the fridge. These ones you put out somewhere in like March, April. You start putting these out March, end of March, and you get the seeds in, and then they start growing. As you can see, I got a lot more, but this is all that I ended up putting together that would be in a decent space for all of these different ones. I had a ton right there, right where that one that's almost dying is. Well, one of them, that one right in the center, that really small one, was over here in that spot right by the irises, and it didn't get a lot of sun. As you can see, that happened to the one I didn't transplant there, and those 2 that I didn't transplant are right above the hose. So you can see that one there, I didn't transplant. Neither of those I transplanted. That one I transplanted, but it's doing pretty good. I wish I had more of that size, but I didn't. And I'm hoping for, as I said, just a little almost an audience that grows up in different sizes. So thank you guys very much, and have a great day.